Yes, hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the ethics code. This is the last. Today is the last day we're talking about most of the things on the FIFA book of study materials. Then we are going to start going into different topics like, as I said, networking and other things. Then we're also going to be looking at answering past questions. But I'm going to try to make a way that when when answering those past questions, you can see what I'm actually doing. But this is not for that's not for today. This is just how we're going to go ahead, proceed ahead, because today is 20th, so we still have 1 month to go with some other days. So 1 month, 1 week, probably. Let's say 1 month, 1 week. So we still have more time to go. But today is the ethics code. We're going to look at what is the ethics code and then see how we can work with it. So we are going to cover when can FIFA punish you, every sanction plus when it's used, how punishment is calculated, when repeated mistakes destroy careers, duties every agent must follow. Okay, so we're going to be looking at those. So from that, we'll start straight to it. We look at basics of sanctions, definitions. This explains where, when, and when you're allowed to punish. So we're going to give you the details. And the key points here is how to apply this actions when if you are doing something, is it your action? If you're omitting something, there's no negligence in this or no attempt to say, well, you forgot, you neglected it, so that's why this rule exists. So if you're guilty, then you're punished. There's no negligence to that, because the reality about these sanctions, why they apply, is that most time people try to say, I didn't do it fully, or I didn't know. So all those excuses, FIFA actually take them away. What I'm actually saying is, let's take, for example, an agent can help hide an illegal payment. Let's give an example. That happens a lot in the industry. And even if he didn't receive the money, still he's guilty. You understand what I mean? What I mean by there can be money passing somewhere and then an agent knows about that. If his name is mentioned that he knew about that, then he's guilty. Okay? So those are the things that you have to face challenges as an agent, that you have to be honest with all those rules and regulations when it comes to the ethics code. That's why they call it ethics, code of ethics. So if you know something, then you have to be a little bit open to it. So let's look at all sanctions within when they apply. So we look at, you always hear of the warning. What does warning actually apply? When does it apply? Let's take, for example, warning comes in when it's a lightest sanction. So you're giving a warning. And when can this be used? Let's take, for example, when you minor misconduct, first time offense, no serious damage, then you start getting warning. So that's how it's used here. So that's first thing of warning. So we look at next thing, we look at reprimand. So it's a formal written warning. Okay. And when can this be applied? Slightly more serious than a warning, and you have a repeated minor misconduct. So let's take, for example, you repeated a misconduct already. So that's when this is already like you are getting a reprimand. So those are names that you can get from the exam, but most of the time those things hardly come, to be honest, with my experience. But you need to know those terms. And compliance training. What is compliance training? So it's almost like a mandatory education when used. Lack of knowledge cause of violation. Let's take, for example, if you lack knowledge, you can cause violation in that. So, and FIFA always believe when you lack knowledge, there's something which called ignorance. That's a problem. So you have to be also spot on. And then the next definition, return of awards. So the return of awards is like giving back a trophy or a benefit. So what I think most of you understand this, it can be like an award obtained unfairly. So you try to return this to save unjust, let's say, unjust advantage to someone. So you try to be fair. And then a fine, I think most of people know a fine. It's a financial penalty, of course. And then community football service. So community for so this is like working for a community. So when does this use? This is like a minor ethical breach when you have breached something minor, and then they are telling you to rehabilitate, to do some contribution. Then you normally you can always do a minor community service. That's how this one happens. Okay. Then match suspension. Well, I think most of people know this one. This is like a sporting misconduct. So it's almost like a consequence. Let's say a consequence when you do something, so you can get mass suspension. So that it's easy because at least I think I assume most people writing this exam you watch football, so you know what is mass suspension. Then we look at next name is dressing room slash bench ban. So this one means you cannot access the team areas. I think this is you always get most from coaches. That's misconduct during matches. For example, I'll give an example. Jose Mourinho used to get a lot of these kind of things that he doesn't control his behavior. Then he gets match ban. So those are the things. This one comes from there. And then also a stadium ban. This means you cannot enter the stadium. This is almost like a serious misconduct when you're removing someone from an environment. Okay. Then now when you get to most serious cases like ban from all football activities. So this can be used for when can this really be applied? It's almost like when someone has done corruption, match fixing, major ethical violation. Those are the things that you can start to look like ban from all football activities. So now let's go to looking of suspensions of sanctions. So suspension of sanctions, this is almost like temporary pause of sanctions. So it's almost like when FIFA gives a second chance to what you have done. So it's almost like testing your behavior, looking at if you do this again, but so they're suspending your sanction. Okay. And then we look at also something like how FIFA determines sanctions. This comes from, let me say, a process of deciding how severe your punishment should be. The factors also matter. The factors can be like nature of offense, okay? And then because your nature of offense is going to determine that the intent of the offense and the corporation, your motive, the damage you have caused, the admission of guilt. So all these things will be factored in before trying to give you the verdict. So as again, I look at it, for example, an example, if an agent hides money, that's a heavy sanction. If an agent reports a mistake report a mistake, that's a light sanction. So those are those are different sanctions depending on the category of the crime you have committed or what the offense. And then what is called concurrent breaches? Concurrent breaches. I think you will see that thing on the also the ethics material, study material. It's almost we call it multiple violations of the same at the same time. So we call it concurrent breaches. So this you get punishment based on the offense of committed, but it can also be increased due to because you have committed multiple breaches. And then the next thing, what is called repeated breaches. Repeated breaches is just like same offense over time, but they're just so if you understand a breach, but now repeated breaches, same offense over time. So in this case, FIFA can treat it as an aggravated sanction, then can exceed. This can exceed maximum sanctions for you that FIFA is giving has given you. So recidivism. So this is almost like a new offense within 15 years of previous sanction. Because in this case, when you do certain things, FIFA always track you have your record written in every history. I mean, in the books that if you commit anything, they can still find you out. So there's always a record, no matter what act you commit. There's always a record put on the platform that this person did this. So there's always a tracking record that if you do that again, you face consequences. And then we look at what's called limited period. So limited period can be like a time limit to prosecute an offense. And the rules can be like 5 years, which is normal. Then when it comes to corruption, it's 10 years. And then when it comes to sexual abuse, it's like no limit. So you have to have an idea of this. And then we look at things like duties. Duties. This is what you must do. That's the general duties. What you must do. You must act with integrity and protect FIFA reputation, because football is a global brand. So you must act also with ethical conduct. And then we look at things like neutrality. So you stay politically neutral when it comes to things that comes to politics. Avoid conflict and bias. That's things of that you hear from the ethics code of ethics. Then when we look at things like loyalty, what does it mean? Act in the best interest of football. Okay, prevent selfish decisions. And then we look at what's like confidentiality. What does it mean? You protect sensitive info, which means if there's a case about that is being handled about a someone, if there's a case which is being handled about someone, you cannot leak those information when you are out of that case. In this case, let me give an example. If you went to a court and then you were to act as a witness to someone who is being judged, who's in court, your job is to also act with confidentiality. Don't give any information when you go out, because so that that person is not maybe uh, faced maybe consequences of certain things due to what you have said. So if FIFA finds out that you did something like that, then you'll be held responsible. Yes, hello and welcome. Can you say your name and where you're watching from? I just saw hey. So uh we have a principle when we have a new person or anybody, we can always say, you just say your name and where you're watching from. Then that's nice. We know where you're coming from. So, but welcome, and if you have anything to say, ask, you can also just drop it there. Okay. And then we look at things like duty to report. Like to report violation, FIFA relies on insiders. So those are also things that you have a duty to report. Duty to cooperate. So to help investigate is easy. Okay. Excuse. Okay, now let's look at also some definitions. So look at rules FIFA uses to decide how to strongly punish someone and when applied. Okay, every time FIFA gives a sanction, for example, used after a violation or whatsoever, there are certain rules that are always applied. So we look at key points like FIFA looks at the seriousness of the crime before any punishment is applied. They will look at the seriousness, the intent, the cooperation, the damage, the cost, the benefits. If so, all those things will be analyzed to ensure a fair punishment. So you understand. So as I said already, if an agent make a mistake or uh, took money and then return money, they are totally different. If someone return money from maybe something and information that he knew, you may get a slight punishment than from someone who took money, something like that. So everything that every case that is handled, it's handled based on the severity of the crime, and then they are looking into those situations. Okay. As I said, repeated breach. I just want to go through repeated breaches. It requires it's something that you have been doing regularly. It's a type of violation that you have committed a number of times over a period of time. That's what we call repeated breach. So just to go again, one small concurrent breach is when person commits multiple violations at the same time. Okay. And it's like, what do I mean by that? This is like what more than one rule is broken. And then another definition, I'm just trying to highlight the same thing before we do the past. Another definition is called recidivism. A new offense committed within 15 years of a previous sanction. So if you had a sanction, then you commit another one within 15 years. Which means that's what we call recidivism. Recidivism. And this is applied when someone is already sanctioned before. So let's give an example to this. So let's say, for example, an agent is banned, then commits similar offense within 10 years. Okay. So let's say an agent is banned for, what can we put an agent can be banned for? Yes. Let's say an agent, because normally for an agent, if you're playing this in, what if you're doing gambling? Yes, that's one good example. Within then you're caught, and then you're banned by FIFA, then you do it again. So that's what you call recidivism. So that's a clear, a very good example. So because part of the rules of being an agent, you cannot be doing those gambling. You cannot be found doing money laundering, bankruptcy, money laundering, and all those kind of things. So if you do that and then you're banned, and then the ban goes away, or maybe yourself you're banned, then they catch you within 10 years. That's what we call recidivism, which means you have committed the same offense you committed already. So that's a good example of that. Let's see, what do we have? Okay, look at sanctions, rules of conduct. So persons bound by this code. So we're going to look at the person bound by this code. So let's take, for example, anyone. Let's say anyone who includes like people bound by this code of sanctions. Let's say, for example, you have an agent, you have a player, you have coaches, you have officials. So when everyone involved into the game, you have the players who are involved in the game, you have the coaching staff, you have the officials, in fact, the general people involved. So these 5 rules of conduct apply to them. I'm going to go through them. Or let's just say someone working in football. Okay. So just let me say general, everyone working in football. Yes, it's easy like that. First, we look at duty of neutrality. So you must remain neutral. As I said, I'm just trying to glance through. You must remain neutral within any political. Let's say if there's any political thing, you have to remain neutral. And also, you remain neutral when dealing with government or an organization. Okay. So, for example, if you're an agent, you cannot use your position to promote political agenda or violation, because in this case, if you're found guilty, you'll be sanctioned with a minimum of CHF 10,000 plus ban of up to 2 years of football. So those are things that those sanctions, those are things that you can get these things in the exam. Let's give an example. If they say if an agent commit, they can actually, if an agent commit a violation based on certain on political agenda, for example, let's give an example like that. What is his sanction? They can give minimum CHF 10,000 plus 2 years, which is the answer ban of up to 2 years, or they can give minimum 100,000 plus. So you have to try to know those amounts. Okay. So, but in this case, the agent will be sanctioned minimum of 10,000 plus ban of up to 2 years. Okay. But what I'll try to do next week is that we will be doing a lot of past questions. From next week, we'll be doing a lot of past questions. I give an example. When we do things like, if I'm talking about a topic, let's say, for example, agent networking, what I want to do is that I have to make you guys learn more, rather than me just sitting and talking. I'll try to use one of the this what you mentioned. I'll try to find out to use one of the software that you people can see my screen, and the past questions. When I read it, you can read it. Then I'll open the study material, and I'll go to locate that past question there also. But I'll be answering them. So we're going to do like, I want you to have a good. Let's say I want you to have a good result. To be honest, so we're going to do like, let's say if not 15 more questions. something. When I mean 15 more questions, which means like one mock is 20 questions, two mock is 20 questions, three mock is 30, is an one mock is 20 questions, and a two mock, that is like 40 questions. So in essence, we're going to do more than 200 past questions. Let's just give an example. But each mock question will do, each one mock, if I say one mock, we're going to do from mock 1 to mock 20. If we try, that will be great. The reason why, and all this mock 1 to mock 20 will be based on past questions who have already come, who have already appeared. So from next week, if you're be then, if you're reading, don't miss. I'll try to find a way that you can see my screen when coming. I'll be already well prepared to give you, when each question I read, I make sure also you look at those questions. And then, because on my laptop, the study material, we make sure we open the study material. If anyone was challenging, we make sure we can go and locate it in the study materials with you. So those are the basic things we will do here. Let me say we will be doing for the next 1 month, so that at least you can have the basics of when going to the exam. I think if you get those questions right, most of those questions, if we answer most of those questions right, yeah, I think you'll be in a good place. Yeah. Okay. What's next week, please? I was just saying that next week we'll do a lot of past questions. But anyways, the topic that we'll be doing next week, I'll decide we can do something like networking, but we'll be finishing. We'll do more of a lot of past questions now. So let's take, for example, if I was talking about network agent networking, we'll finish. We'll take time, let me say, at the end to answer 20 more past questions who are from the exams who came already. So most of the mock past questions that I'll be giving will be the one that are from the exam. Okay. And then what I'll be trying to make it more in a way that is more interactive, that you will also see those more questions, not only me reading here and giving you an answer. So I'll try to share my screen with you people. I'll try to use a software that can share my screen with you people, so that when I read the questions, then with the answer, if the answer is A, B, C, or D, you can decide. We can do it more interactive if you want to decide, but I think maybe some people must not. I will stay, tell you the answers. It's much easier that way, because I cannot do it. I cannot do it and then tell you people that, okay, what do you think is the answer? We might wait all day, so we might wait so long. Okay, so it will be a case of when I do it, I just say, okay, this is the answer. Let's move forward. And then the one that is more challenging, also we can already go and refer it to the book. We can already go and refer it to the book. Okay, so we'll be using the study materials also. So when you're coming next week, make sure that your study material is also open. The FIFA, let me say the FIFA study material 2026, you have it on your laptop, whether you're using your laptop whatsoever. But you using the, I expect you should be using your laptop, because you're going to use your laptop to write. So you have your FIFA study material open on your laptop, then ready to get the mock see the mock questions. When I do that, we can answer that. We do like that. Then it's much easier. If we do first, after we have studied what we have to do, then we do 20 questions. The next day, we do 20 questions. The next day, we study, we do 20 questions. I think if we do that for the next, if we do that for a lot of, let me say, for close to a month, you must have answered probably majority of the questions. Yes, you must have answered majority of the questions, so that will help. So I'll also try, I would like to do the past questions in a way that when you come back or after we are done from the session, you can go back to even look at the video and pause, read the question slowly yourself and see the question, pause, read the question slowly yourself. And then you can even try to answer yourself also. Then if you cannot answer, you verify the answer, or you use the method I was using to find, maybe use the study material to find the questions. To find the answers. So that will be more helpful. That will also be more helpful to you people, so that at least it can make you, those attending, yeah, at least can have a chance to, yeah, you should be having a big chance to pass the exam. If we do that for, because the exam is coming on like 28th of April. Let's give an example. If we start doing that next week, then you have a good chance to have good time to pass the exam. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. So that's exciting time for you guys. Exciting time for you guys. That's the big news I'm giving you guys, that I've decided that okay, we will go, and then I will share the screen so that at least when you go back home or when you are doing your own free time, you can also answer those questions yourself. So I'll be trying to put in place that system that we can start from Monday next week. Okay, let me read some. Okay, my name is Okay, watching from Austria. Okay, okay, welcome. Okay, and nice to have you here. Please, I want to know more about general rules. What do you mean general rules of ethic codes or what? Hello, Brian. I saw another channel that does FIFA Agent Exam prep, and they were able to search in search bar within the study material. Have you seen this? They were able to search in search bar. What do you mean search in search bar? Can you explain, please? Okay, but let me know anything. Then let's continue so that at least we move ahead. Okay, we spoke of neutrality and then define. Then we talk. Then now the next thing is duty of loyalty. So when we talk of duty of loyalty, it means you act in the best interest of football. Mm. So like, and let's say when all decisions you all decision involving football, you act in the best interest. No selfish behavior. So what do I mean by that? Let's take for example, an agent prioritizing commission over a player's career. So if this also is found, and then the agent can be, if something is found like this, then the agent can be sanctioned also. But the sanction here, because it's like minimum of 10,000 CHF, and then with ban for up to 2 years. Okay. Then now the next thing we talk of duty of confidentiality. As I said already, keep sensitive information private. If you were called by FIFA to testify certain case about something, that's a confidential matter. You don't need to expose it to one person or another, because if it is revealed that you said that, you'll be punished. If you leak that kind of information, you'll be punished, and you may pay a fine also of minimum of 10,000 CHF, and also banned for up to 2 years. And then now, and the next one we talk of like duty to report. What do we mean by duty to report? Let's take, for example, if there's a violation, it's your duty to report that violation. So what do we mean by violation? When they can become a misconduct also, okay? Then it's your listen to report. And one thing here is, how can I put it? If you know that there's something, let's take for example a corruption allegation, and then you know what is happening, then you stay silent. Then after some time, it found that you had information about that, and you stay silent. Same also, you can be found like guilty, and you can be found fine minimum CHF 10,000 and banned for up to even 2 years. Okay, so those are the things that you have to be aware of. So now next we have duty to cooperate. Let's see what you're saying. When next week, please? Next week, Monday. I was talking of next week, Monday. We have Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday. As I made mention, I made a post on Wednesday that there are no more online sessions on Wednesday. So it's always Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays between from 9:30 p.m. Eastern European time upward. Okay. And then keyword search. What is it like keyword search? Keyword search. When a practice question is asked, they were able to search for keywords to find the correct answers. Yeah, You can search keywords to find the correct answer. That happens. But what I'm saying is, if you don't know how to use keyword to search the answer, let's just give an example of what I was saying. So let's take, for example, if they give a question like uh, transfer regulation, those words you're going to find a lot. So now you have to be able to know the exact keyword that you use to find that. Okay, you must have to, because now let's take, for example, if you just put, let's take, for example, transfer. If you put transfer, there are multiple transfer. There's transfer probably on every page from the beginning. Oh, sorry, from the beginning to maybe the last part of the study material. So you might have like more than 100 or more than 200 transfer words. So now it comes now to where you have to go. If you know that, let's take, for example, if I was using keyword search, it might be different from someone who doesn't know, because let's take, for example, if they talk of something of transfer of a topic, I can read a topic and understand that this thing comes under the RSTP. I can read and understand that, okay, this is under FFAR. I can read this and understand and discover that, hey, this is under maybe football tribune, something like that. Just giving an example. So now, even if you know how to use those Control F keyword search, you still Control F. You still need to know where where to find or the page. You still need to know that the page, because that's very important. If not, you're just going to get bored, because you might take more than 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes to even find that one word, because there are so many of those words. Okay. But next week, I said we'll try things and see how it goes. Okay, next we're talking about duty to cooperate. When I say duty to cooperate, you have definition. What is the definition of duty to cooperate? Just you have to assist in an investigation. Let's just put it that way, clear. So let's say, for example, during if there's an investigation carried out, you can, let's say they're asking for a document to be provided. If you know where the document is, you have to provide a document. Or if you know what is the truth, you have to tell the truth. You don't hide facts. Those are the things that we call duty to cooperate. And if you are found, let me say, if they discover that maybe you are lying, let's give an example, then sanction may be applied. And also the ban is like minimum of 10,000, CHF 10,000, and a ban for up to 2 years. Now look at conflict of interest. So what do I mean by that is, when, for example, when a person when you have personal interest in something. So I give an example. If you have personal interest, how can I put it? Let's say, how can we? I want to find a good scenario. Okay, let's take, for example, when there's a decision-making situations. Okay, like transfer, contracts, and rules like that. Then if you have interest in making, let's say, a move happen just because of you want more money, then probably lies are involved, all those kind of things. You have to always be very honest in every situation. So that's something we can say. You don't need to have a personal interest in certain things, okay? And you have to always be honest. Those are what we call ethics. Your ethics, you apply your ethics there. Okay, let's look at now this good thing we call gift offering. So what like offering gifts to people. So is it allowed, and or is it not allowed? So offering gifts to people is only allowed if, let me say, is a symbolic value. Let's give an example. No influencing any decision, no conflict of interest, as we spoke around, and no unfair advantage. So you don't want to give something that you are expecting that there might be something that you gain ahead. That's like an interest. So these are strictly prohibited. So let's take, for example, cash, any amount, no, you cannot be giving that. Or a gift, or something like a gift influencing a decision in future. So you cannot be giving that. So this helps to prevent hidden, something like we call hidden corruptions. So I give an example: an agent gives expensive watch to a club official. This is almost like a violation because you're trying to maybe make something of interest that at least you have to stay away from those things, because if found, it can be almost like, okay, you're trying like a bribery something. So normally, and in this case also the sanctions is almost the same. Uh, it can be more than even 10,000 CFHF, and also banned from up to 2 years from football activities. And so we look at commission, and if you look like we talk of like illegal commission. What do I mean by illegal commission? Let me say payment without real contract. You work with the player, and then you people are doing. There's no contract. There's no written to you people are paying hand to hand. That's almost like illegal commission. Okay, but well, of course, if there's also, let me say, a general commercial agreement exists in this one, it can be okay. But most of the time, if it is not, then it's not okay. Then if found also, you might be guilty, and the fine can involve like a CHF 10,000 or more, include illegal amounts of fine, and also you can be banned from 2 to 5 years. So let's look at another one we call defamation, discrimination, and defamation. Discrimination is like an unfair treatment, of course. Defamation is damaging of reputation. So you understand those words. This can be applied, let's say, in public statement or behavior towards others. And also, if you're found guilty of doing this, behaving like that against individuals, let's take, for example, a racist comment or a false accusation. Those are things that I call discrimination or defamation. If you're found guilty, sometimes you get, not sometimes, you get like fine of CHF 10,000 and banned for up to 2 to 5 years. And then now the next thing also, protection of integrity. So this is like what I'm trying to say. Yeah, this can be like protecting, let me say, your physical and mental dignity to people, something like that. And what I mean by that, like abuse, harassment, threats, sexual exploitation, all these kind of things. So in this case, also, if you're found, you have also minimum 2 years ban and severe 10+ years. Then now we look also at forgery and forgery, using fake or altered document. That's what we call forgery. So it can be, let me say, this is like fake contracts, for example, fake false document that you presented to be able to, how do I say, pass a certain thing. Okay, so, and this also comes with a sanction of CHF 10,000 and a ban of 2 years and above. Then we have abuse of a position. If you're given a position and you abuse it, so using your role to gain your advantage, let's take, for example, something like that. So this also has a fine of, let me say, 10,000 and above, and a ban for 2 years and up to higher. Then the next one that I think this one is common against young people is like gambling games and everything. So this actually, I think most of you know this, because if you have been reading also the rules, they say when you cannot gamble as a FIFA agent, even the 24. I think you've already, most of you guys, when you went through the eligibility requirement, those are one of the things they were checking on the name. If your name has come up for something like that, people get away with it if you're not found. But most of the time, like now, when you pass your exam, these things will be going on. They will be, let's take, for example, if someone, let me give an example. If someone go and place a bet and win, let's say, for example, 1 million, then FIFA discover that that's an agent who has played bet and won 1 million. You'll be banned. You'll be banned officially from, and your license will be withdrawn. Your license will be suspended till until you're proven guilty. I mean, until you're proven non-guilty. But if FIFA finds out, those are the things. So when you're an agent, there are things that you cannot do. Let me say, the gambling, playing games, betting on games. That those things don't exist anymore, because if you do it, they fine you. You're going to be guilty. Let's see. Today is my first day joining. Okay, that's nice to know. So welcome. Next Monday, 9:30 a.m. or 9:30 p.m. European. 9:30 p.m. Eastern European time is the time that we're available. 9:30 p.m. Eastern European time. That's different from 9. If you say 9:30 p.m. GMT is different. So you have to put 9:30 p.m. Eastern European time and then convert it into your own time and then see the time. Okay. So try to you find that and then put your own time wherever location you're from, and then you convert it with 9 p.m. Eastern European time. Eastern European time is EET. When you just put 9:30 p.m., they put EET. That's called Eastern European time. When you convert it to your time, I don't know whether you're in GMT or whatever time, if you convert it to where you are from. Or let's give an example. The best way to always do that is like just type on Google 9:30 p.m. Eastern European time to, let's say, if you are in South Africa, let's give an example, to 9:30 p.m. South African time. Just put like that. Google is going to give you what it says, the time. Then you're going to use that time to come. But it's almost like now it's 10:20 here, 10:20 here. So if you come 1 hour earlier, if you prepare almost close to 1 hour earlier, like the same time on Monday, we'll be here still. Okay, but anyways, I think you can handle that. Okay, we're talking about betting and gambling. So it's like involving in football related activities, direct or indirect. You have financial interest in that. So the reason why you cannot be involved in this as an agent is because they're trying to protect the integrity of the game, and you can be banned from. Yeah, you can be banned for up to 3 years as a FIFA agent, and then you can be sanctioned 100,000 CHF 100,000. Bribery and corruption. So this is almost like the biggest threat in football integrity. So this one, if you're sanctioned, you'll be sanctioned like 100,000 and above, and ban is almost like 5 years and above as well. Misuse of funds. So you have funds and you misuse of you are under let me say, you are under something. No, you are in the position of responsibilities, and then you misuse funds. What I mean by that, like you misuse it based on your own personal things. So if you're fined and then if you're reported also to FIFA, you pay a fine of 100,000 CHF and above, and you'll be banned for 5 years. The next one is also like match manipulation. Match manipulation is like match fixing to get a result. That's what I call match manipulation. So you understand? So, for example, agreeing to lose a match. That, let me say you have someone you go, because this happened in the lower leagues a lot. Someone went into a game and probably, let's take for example the center defender is already saying agrees with the center defenders, call the agent in the night, and they agree that the other people, they want to win that game because they want to qualify for some certain things. So those things happen a lot in lower leagues. But if you're caught, then you also be sanctioned. But so much manipulation, you cannot be involved into that. And then we have procedure part. Effects of a decision. Let's talk about the effect of a decision. When a decision becomes active, the rule is immediately after communication. So you have to know that. So if you have, let me say, if you are guilty of something and then that decision is made, the moment they communicate that to you, know that that decision can become active. Okay. So let's look at now types of proof. And we have this include, when I talk of proof, this includes like document, witnesses, video slash audio, expert opinion, proof. Yeah. Okay. So we have like inadmissible evidence. So this is an evidence that cannot be used, For example, when violate human dignity, and those that is irrelevant. So those are evidence. That's in we call it inadmissible evidence when you're violating human dignity. Then we talk of now the next one is evaluation of proof. So in this case, FIFA decides what evidence matters. Okay, and they will have standard of proof. There are a lot of proof actually, but I think I'm really I almost feel as if I'm singing it, but you need to see just digest them. So you have standard of proof. So this is almost like a level of certainty required. Then you have burden of proof. I think this one is most of the time. I always see this burden of proof. This is almost an easy one, like who must prove the case. And then time limits. I think we spoke already of time limits, like deadlines in proceedings. Start after you have been notified of any decision. Okay, so those are parts of this. I think we're not going to be answering any questions on this. Actually, we don't have any questions on this, but I think those this made we have covered all the actually the book. We have covered all the book actually. So now from next week, I think the ethics code and the disciplinary code was a little bit boring to be honest, but I had to just do it to try to cover most of the book. But I feel it was a little bit boring. Yeah, the topic. So now from next week, we're going to get back into more exciting things like the first thing we're going to do. I will say I'm going to try to make so that we solve a lot of past questions here. After any topic, we solve a lot of past questions. So we have 20 past questions to go after each topic, and those past questions will all be tested past questions. Past questions will have been used. That's what I mean by that. So no more this ethic codes, dictionary code, and all those kind of things that I know they are boring, but I had to do it so that at least we cover the book. So Monday, prepare, come ready. We're going to, and there was someone who said yesterday about medical something something. Yeah, I think I don't know if he's around, but anyway, if he's not around, then tomorrow, anytime he comes, we're going to speak about that. So if you're a banned, do you lose your license as well? Well, it depends. Yes, let's say when you're suspended, when your license is suspended, I give an example. Let me explain. If your license is suspended, then it depends the severity. But if you committed a crime a lot, then your license is withdrawn. You get suspension of your license, which means you cannot use your license. But if the severity of the crime is so high, then your license is withdrawn immediately. It depends whatever crime. But let's take for example, when you're banned from something, your license is suspended. But again, if you committed so much high, it depends what you commit. That's why you have to always go. Each rule is different. If you committed certain a very high offense, then your license might be withdrawn immediately, which means they see that you're no more deemed to become an agent, no matter what. Okay. So on Monday we will end here because I think I said on Monday we'll start now full without we just answering doing different topics and then finishing answering past questions. Okay. When we finish answering those past questions, it will be nice so that at least you can take those questions home. They will always be I'll be putting them now on the platform because I'll be using a software to stream with it, and that will help you a lot so that you can also see the question after yourself, not just me reading and you not seeing my screen. Okay. So this is today we'll end here, and then on Monday we can come now. Anyone who's watching or you watch this video after, come on Monday 9:30 p.m. We'll be ready to do all those assignments now. On Monday we'll start full swing with a lot of those details. So we'll have 20 past questions that, as I said, exam tested questions that I want to start feeding you now with the exam questions that are things that you might get most of those questions exam in the exam. And then what you'll be getting from this one is that you'll get the questions back to go with it because you'll be seeing my screen. I'm going to share my screen. So when you go back home, your interaction, you can also see the screen. You can also see back those questions and how we did it. Then you can repeat it. That will be the best way for you to learn. If we do that for 1 month, then I think you have a chance which is the best thing. Okay. But anyways, for now I have to leave. We'll see Monday 9:30 p.m. Turn on your notification and remember that don't start missing from Monday, because from then now you start getting. We're going now to the next stage, because I wanted to revise the book a little bit, then now enter into the past questions a little bit, so that at least we can answer those things easily. Okay. Take care and have a nice weekend. Talk to you Monday. If you have any questions, you can, or anything, you can always leave it on the platform or on my page. I'll see it. Any comment? Take care. Okay. Bye for now and have a nice time. Cheers.